Hey guys, this is Ras and Ashley, and this is She-Wolf Alchemy. And today we're talking about the books that made us. Ashley, start us off.
So we're talking about the books that made us I guess, sharing some of our love of reading with you guys and the books that have influenced us and kind of how we got into it. So, Russ, would you say that you have a habit of reading?
Oh, for sure. For sure. Matter of fact, Triva now was making fun of me because we went to this like R&B in the park picnic
Mm-hmm.
and I brought wine, I brought monies, and I brought books. And it
Mm-hmm.
was like, we are here to chill. And we are here to dance, to listen to music. And I was like, right. But during intermission, I like to be entertained. I love to read. I usually always have a book on me if I'm out in public somewhere. What about you?
I like to read as well. Now, I'm definitely not so much as having like a book in public whenever I'm in public, but I do usually try to have one around, especially if I know I'm going to have some downtime. And I feel like in recent years, I've really made it a point to try to make it a habit again because it was one of those things that like grad school just killed it. Like I feel like I used to read all the time and then
Hmm.
being in college for so long, you got to read for school. So then at some point you just kind of reading just isn't as fun or it has
Yeah.
sucked the fun out of it for me. So it kind of took me being like, oh, wait a minute. This is something I really used to enjoy and noticed that I had fallen out of it and it had to work to get back into the habit.
Yeah.
Like I literally was just like committed to 15 minutes a day or, a book a month. That's one thing I was doing at one point. I was like, I'm gonna try to read one book a month. And then I would like break it down like, okay, if this book got 300 pages, you know what I mean? I gotta read 10 pages a day or something like that just to try to get back into the groove.
Yeah.
But yeah, but I'm happy, to have put it back in my life because it's been such a joy. I really love
Yeah.
to read.
I remember that phase too of like both in undergrad and grad school, reading really took a hit for me. Reading for pleasure took a hit for me because I had to read for non-pleasure, things that weren't fun. And trying to catch up. You have professors that were assigning you books as thick as your forearm and being like,
Mhm,
and then on top of that, write a 10-page paper on it. You got
mhm,
3 weeks. You like, sir, this is one out of 6 classes. Please chill out.
mhm.
And I forgot about that. Yeah, it definitely took a while for me to get back into it because yeah.
Mhm.
I went through a phase. I was like booked out. But back in our happy spot. And yeah, books is still like one of my ways to escape and one of my ways to like cope and calm down. I have the Kindle. And I'm still though a really big like I like paper. I like to hold books in my hand.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
when I'm impatient and there's a topic or a book I really, really want to read and they're like 4 days and I'm like, madness. It's 2023.
Mhm.
That and then especially for like work, I do because as a
Mhm.
therapist, we got to keep up our knowledge or whatever. So sometimes I'll just download a book like that. But when I'm for pleasure, I'm still very much like I want to feel the pages in between my hands. I want to
Mhm.
highlight. I want to write in the book, and I want to have notes on the side of it. I love the whole
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
ceremony that comes with
Mhm.
sitting down, getting cozy to read.
Mhm. Even when it comes to and, please, everyone support your local libraries. Go. They're wonderful places. But I also don't even like to check books out because, like you said, I like to write in them, highlight
Mhm.
stuff, and it takes and, even though I love it and I have it as a habit, it still takes me a minute to work my way through a book because of life. So, like, you giving me 2 weeks to read, I gotta recheck it out. It's too much. I'd rather just buy
Good.
it. I'd rather just buy it.
Y'all know I'm a Gemini. I buy 5 books at a time, and I get excited about all of them, and I'm so good for reading 3 chapters of this book and being like, "Well, let me just peek. Let me just peek at that book real quick," and then forgetting about that first book for a year.
Oh, wow. Oh,
Sometimes
wow.
it's a couple months. It depends. It depends on how good the book is.
That's
But,
funny.
like, yeah, forgetting about it for a little while and then, like, just going on to the other one and never finishing that one either. Like, I'm just all over the place. It takes me a good while. I am usually reading, like, 3 or 4 books at a time.
Yeah, no, that's me too. I'm definitely usually reading multiple. Right. Lately I haven't been. Usually if I'm doing like different genres, like I might have like my morning reading book is something inspirational. I'm trying to learn or heal or some shit. And then like my before I go to bed, that's when I want like my sci-fi, my fiction, that
Mm.
type of stuff. And then I might have another one that's like when I'm not trying to read seriously or I want something light. I don't know. So I'll do that two or three, but I can't read like multiple novels.
Are you still in your hood novel phase?
I've never been in the hood. Not what? Tell me more about this phase that you
The
believe I was
coldest
in.
winter ever books.
Oh,
Those.
girl, those are on there because those are from childhood. That's why those are on there.
Okay, okay. But no, when you're saying when I want something less serious, I was like, what are we saying when we say less serious? Because every now and
Well,
then someone will post a thread on social media and it would be like, the pastor's daughter ain't that good. And then it's like a girl in a G-string on the cover. You're
yeah,
just
no,
like,
I have no interest in reading shit like that. No, it is not appeal to me. And as a matter of fact, I tried to reread a book from my youth that like so one of my aunts used to be a part of a book club and
mhm,
like a black book club. And so she would pass them on to me after
mhm,
she was done with them, which was great. It was great free books all the
mhm,
time. But like there was this one book called Hot Johnny and the Women Who Loved Him. Now, first of all, I really liked this book
mhm,
back then. I liked the concept of it because it was Hot Johnny's life being told from the perspective of these women who had
mhm,
loved him throughout his lifetime. And the story begins like at his funeral. And these
mhm.
women are here and they're like, well, when I was with Johnny, you know,
Oh, so like, what's his name? Frankie?
yes,
The
kind of like
movie?
Why Do Fools Fall in Love?
Yeah.
Yes, kind of like that. And I don't know. It even stuck with me because I definitely was too young to be reading
Mhm,
this book at the time that I read it. But the concept has always stuck with me. Um, Maybe for some reason too, also as a person who has loved and been loved by many and have always thought it would be interesting to hear that perspective. I don't know.
okay.
But anyway, so I like
Hold
a
on,
few
wait, now you got me thinking.
think about it now.
I do wonder how many men are sitting on therapist couches because of me right now. I just
Any but
I I would like to know the answer to that. That would be good for my ego. Okay, go ahead.
But a few years ago, I rebought the book. I was like, oh, because it's one of the books that was lost when my evil stepfather threw away all my books. So anyway, I rebought it. I rebought
Wait,
them.
can I just tell you why that's extra funny to me? Because
Hmm.
I've been trying to put together our reel for that award show. And one of the clips I had to listen to some of her old clips and figure out which one I want to put in there. And one of the clips I ended up using was a clip. I can't remember which episode it was from, but we were talking and we were like, and I was saying, yeah, because I know there's just certain topics with you where I know that, like with family, you're usually like, yeah, no, my childhood's just something I got through. I was like, every now and then you'll have a moment. And I'll be like, oh, yeah, I forgot. We not for real healed on that. We just be playing like we healed. And I touched the wrong button.
Damn it! I am healing
I know.
from that trauma.
I know.
Okay,
You're doing so
just
great.
to throw this in as a cute moment. I've told my boyfriend about this story and how I lost all my Goosebumps books from my childhood, and he literally bought me the whole set.
Yay, him for president. Him for
I know.
president.
I know. It's like he was like, "Fuck your stepdaddy." That's really that's really sweet. He loved me.
Did you see the video I posted on my Instagram story? There's a
Mm.
video that's posted from TikTok where the girl and she's like, isn't it interesting as a girl, as a woman, dealing with your father and they get mad at you because you don't deal with them the same way that their wife dealt with them. So it's like your wife is a woman who you chose. I am the woman you deserve. And I was just like, yeah, yeah,
Mm,
all of that.
mm,
All of that. Let me unblock him real quick and send that to him.
mhm,
Yeah. I'm sorry.
mhm.
Uh,
No,
we're
you
we're
saying it's
healing.
yeah, yeah,
Healing.
right. Let's reroute back to our topic. So books. So I repurchased this book, Hot Johnny and Women Who Loved Him, a few years ago and tried to reread it, and it is terrible. Well, I ain't gonna say it's terrible. It is. I don't like. It is not well written. I don't like the way it's written. I've read better books. That's what I'll say. I have read better books since then, and so I tried to reread it. It was so painful. I was like, all right, this did not stand the test of time, and that is okay.
Mhm.
Put this book away.
I will say though, like, because I think when you're younger, because I've had the same experience, like I won't touch classics, childhood classics anymore. In fact, I
Mm-hmm.
struggle now when people say, like, what's your favorite book? Because I always want to say something that I read when I was like 15. And I know I'm gonna have a different
Mm-hmm.
perspective now. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say it because someone who just read it for the first time as a
Mm-hmm.
36-year-old is gonna be like,
Right.
why? And I'm gonna be like,
Yeah.
because it's magical. And they're like, why did you think that was magical? And then I'm gonna reread and feel stupid. But I will say, at least for me, I realized when I was younger, it was the sensationalism of a book that got me.
Mm.
So I read these books and they're not well written. I was a semi-sheltered pastor's kid. So there's just some
Mm-hmm.
things that were sensationalized. That I was like, yes,
Mm-hmm.
or let's talk more about these topics. And I think that some of my faves was just because it was more taboo.
Gotcha. Like what? Tell us.
So, for example, I'm pretty sure one of the books I used to love, and it might still be a good book. I have not read it in a while. I'm just saying I don't know. I There has been some I have kind of reread, and I'm like, hmm. But one of the books I loved as a kid was like The Darkest Child. And
Mm-hmm.
this was a book that was about a Black child who grew up in a family. Her mom had like several kids, like several kids. Her mom was a biracial woman and she like got through life by like men. Like she was a pretty woman, black man, white man, Hispanic man, it didn't matter. The men in town liked her and would pay for her stuff. But her mama was fast. So her mom got a lot of baby daddies. None of the kids matched. Everybody came from a different set of Crayola boxes.
Mm-hmm.
And she was the darkest child. Like she came out very, very dark skinned. And her mom like hated her for it. And she used to like try her hardest to get her mom to like love her. And then one day she realized like her mom was pimping out her younger sisters who had like looser hair, curlier hair texture, who were lighter skin, who had more quote unquote exotic features and things
Mm-hmm.
like that. And her mom was evil to her and was just like, you are Cinderella, clean up and whatever around us. But
Mm-hmm.
like her other siblings, like she didn't realize like the reason why she valued them was because now I'm getting older, I can use you to get men to bring in money to do all
Mm-hmm.
these things. And like to me, that was a foreign concept. I was very like, what is going on here?
Mm-hmm.
What? I'm just being grounded by the Holy Spirit. I had no idea. Those parents traumatizing kids in other ways.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so books like that, like stuff like that. I was just like, what?
Hmm.
Yeah. Again, I have not reread with that one, so it's a really, really good book. But I know, like, when I look back on stuff, going back to kind of what we were talking about earlier, like The Coldest Winter Ever, Sister Soldier books, Midnight, all of those. I can't read those now. Like, I can't. I can't. It was like what 2015 when they were talking about like doing the movies, and I think they
Oh, a
ended up
movie.
doing. They were talking about it.
Movie.
Everybody was really, really hyped, and I tried to reread it then, and I was like,
You can't.
okay, I was
It's
like 12. All right, so I didn't know
right.
better.
Okay.
Fine.
Right. So, and see, okay. So some of this, because you were asking about what was this phase. The only reason I got into these types of books and other types of books is because my mom wouldn't let me read fantasy and sci-fi, the stuff that I actually liked.
Mm.
And I am so glad to be a grown up and be able to read whatever I want because it's
So
hilarious.
wait, she was like,
Girl,
no to ET. Go see what Winter Santiago got going on this week. That's what's
girl,
happening.
girl Zane, girl,
Mm.
um, all type of stuff that was just way. I read all type of books
Mm.
that you know what I'm saying.
Hmm.
Cause so I used to go because it's like a I used to walk to the library. I would spend all day there and I would just come home with just a stack of books. And back then, when I was a kid, I used to read. I could kill a book in a day, like hours,
Hmm.
that type of stuff. And so, yeah, she was going through my books and it was like vampire books and stuff like this or like scary books. That was kind of stuff I liked. And they were a little bit more mature, but it was the genre I liked. And she like Anne Rice, stuff like that. Oh no. No, she was like, your head is in the clouds. You better not read not one more vampire book in this house. Whoopsie
Go
whoopsie
figure
whoop.
out how to trap a dude who's a high ranking drug dealer. Okay. That's what real life things, Ashley.
Yeah, I used to have to sneak and read them at the library because I couldn't bring it
Oh,
home. And it's so funny to me because I still love sci-fi and fantasy
yeah.
is still my favorite. It is like, why did you do this? Why are you trying to keep me from this? But hey, I got to read Terry McMillan,
Hmm.
which who wrote some great books that I don't
Hmm.
think I will ever want to read today, but they fit for that time.
Yeah.
Stuff like there's this other woman. I think it's Mary Monroe. I think
Okay.
that's the name of the author. And her books are like deep south. Like it's so she's one of them authors when you read her, you feel hot and sweaty. Like she describes it so well that you're like, ugh,
Okay.
I feel like I'm there and I don't like it here.
Yeah. I don't want none of that. None of that at all.
But anyway, yeah, because it was one book called A Day Late and a Dollar Short. And I just think about it was this grandma that was always cussing people out, shooting them, beating them up. It was a lot going on.
Why grandma
And
shoot
again,
dogs?
the Zane books,
Girl,
the
yeah.
with the woman that was addicted to sex, and then
Girl,
her
I was all of like 14 in a whole Zane Facebook group. Like,
goodness.
to be honest, I don't know how I got in. I don't remember joining myself, but somehow I remember like people, yeah.
At least she
Mm.
was 14, because I was in like sixth, seventh grade.
No, that's just because it was Facebook. Like I was reading them
No.
before. But in my
Oh.
defense, it's because my cousin, Mimi, who I love
Mhm.
sincerely, but Mimi used to pass down stuff to me
Mhm.
or have me in situations like there wasn't a 5-year age difference.
Mhm.
Because when you was 15, I was 10. So
Mhm.
that's where I was getting these books from because I would be with Mimi was like this. And yeah, she would like, I'll be at her house. Oh, here you go. Here's this book. And I'm like, oh, okay. She about to do what with who and what? Okay. You want to know something? Again, because I'm like, let me see, they still live in Dayton. So I had to be like 11 or 12. I
Mm.
can't tell you which book it was, but it was one of those hood books. It was the first time I realized like cutting down there in that area was a thing. So I was like 12. I
Coldest
didn't
winter
know.
ever.
Yep, there we go.
Because
Because there
there's
was
a
a whole
scene where she
scene.
goes and gets ready because midnight is coming by and she cuts her pubic hair. Yeah.
And I
I was like,
remember
oh, am I
walking
supposed to
to
be
my
doing
cousin's
that?
room to be like, hey, um, is this something I need to be concerned about? Like, I had no idea that was an expectation. I had no idea
Literally.
that was an expectation. And and then she gave me her 14-year-old tea on her opinion. And we was just both wrong. We was just both.
Oh my gosh. No. Yep, that is so funny because I remember reading that too and being like, oh, like this is what I'm supposed
This
to
is
be
what we
doing?
doing. Okay.
Trimming this up? Okay. And I was trimming it.
Look, look. We
Oh
won't go into
my gosh.
details, but it definitely shaped some things. Like, okay, so apparently that thing is becomes a thing. This is what needs to be done.
These books have
Okay.
shaped a culture, okay? Like, because these books were passed all around middle school, like they were everywhere.
Were
But
y'all want to know? So in 8th grade, I don't know if you guys had this. In our health class, we had to take home those fake babies to like
mhm,
encourage you not to be a teen parent.
mhm.
And they were these robotic babies. And do kids still
I
do
don't
that?
think they do it anymore. I don't
Because it
think so.
wasn't effective.
No.
Everybody with D's and F's had a baby the
Did
next year.
your school give y'all a crack baby? Because we had a crack baby that shook when it cried.
I don't remember. I don't remember. But what I do remember, and it was from one of those hood books, I named my baby Quadir. It was one of the characters' name, Quadir,
Mhm.
and my mom kept calling it Quagmire, and, and I was so mad because I was like, his name is Quadir because we got to get little birth certificates and everything. It's like, it's my
Right,
baby
funny.
Quadir. She was like, oh, look at my little grandbaby Quagmire. She was anybody that was coming to our house, and she would take it and show it to them, and then tilt the head back to me. Look at this, and cried. I'm like, I am losing points every time you do that.
Every time you try to kill my baby. But no, but also I feel like I learned other valuable lessons from these books, okay? Because I remember okay, Fly Girl, both
Mm,
Fly Girl, Coldest Winter Air, and there was another book, there was a third book that I read where it was like, yeah, this is why I was never enticed by like street dudes.
mm,
Because in Fly Girl, she was over here running after these drug dealers. Okay, she had no reason. She had a good life. She had a mom who loved her. She gave her everything she wanted in the world, took good care of her. She just wanted to fuck off with this boy. And it got her in some situations. And I
mm,
was like, that's crazy. And then you had Coldest Winter Ever, who, yes, she was in the life, but I'll never forget the end of that book when she thought she, was with her dude and things was finally good and they was going to go do a drug run. And some chick, he got out the car and some chick came, smashed the window, cut her damn face, and he left her. And she went to prison.
mm,
Okay. Um, and then the other one, I don't even remember the title of, but I do remember that he was the one in the streets. And his girlfriend was just trying to get her life together. She was trying to get her GED. And she got goddamn kidnapped because of some bullshit he did. And while
mm.
he was trying to save her, he accidentally shot her and she died. And I was like,
I just,
that I never want to be involved in these situations.
at
Let me
all.
avoid these types of
I
men.
don't remember some of that stuff, so I'm just like,
Girl,
what?
girl, that's what happened. That's what happened at the end of
Look,
Cold
let me tell
Ever. She
you.
went to prison.
Let me tell you, when I was 14, my little high school boyfriend was a little rapper. He was named Pockets at the time. He got in a rap battle, and my real name is a word, and it's a word that means like a loving touch. And the person he was battling realized that and used me in the rap battle. And I was like, that's enough of this life for me. Like that's all it took. Like y'all you talk about kidnapping. Somebody rhymed my name with like draws or something. And I was like, nope, nope, this ain't for me. I want to be involved in such activities.
No, I remember those, and I was like, mm-mm, mm-mm. I'm not out here trying to get kidnapped, shot, get my face cut, going to prison.
Yeah,
No,
no.
thank you. That's what I learned from them books.
Yeah, glad. I'm glad. Yeah,
To stay
no.
safe.
But I will say, while your mom was banning science fiction and telling and letting you read about the street life for whatever reason, no, we weren't allowed. I had to go to my cousin Miracle's house to read those books, and it was fine. Yeah, but my so reading for me became a big thing though, because my parents were big on it. My parents were like, "You're going to read." Like when you come home, my dad was big on asking me like, "What you reading? What's it about?" Da 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 da. Like that was a thing in my household. And there was actually a period in my life where like we were assigned books, so like that was a big thing. But at that time, it was a lot. My dad is this light skinned, green eyed, curly haired man.
Mm.
So of course he went to school, got super pro black. And so I had to read a lot of like black books, black authors. Like he was just a light skinned man trying to fit in, trying to
Real
prove his melanin.
light skinned folks like that. No, I'm just like,
He
that
was
is
just
so
a light
funny.
skinned man. Every now and then I would talk to my grandpa. He would talk to me about my daddy during his college days.
Hmm.
And he's like, yeah, your dad just fluff off his little curls and try to get teeth. Like he had the weakest little afro. He just had the weakest. It's like his little curls did not want to go. They did not want to participate. But anyways, because of that, my parents were big on like pro black books. So I was reading a lot of like black authors, black books. My parents were big on like, oh, this has a picture of a little black girl on it. Get it. Didn't care what the book was about. I didn't care what the book was about. If it had a little black girl on it, they were getting it, and I was gonna read it. And I'm laughing now because I low key am the same with my daughter. Except for I read it and be like, "What is this about?" Let me skim through
Mhm.
it. Yeah,
Right.
when I see little
Yeah,
pictures
I
of
get
little
it.
black girls, I'll be like, "Yes, representation."
You know,
For
it's funny to me because I'm thinking about books that my mom and I like used to read together because we used to
you.
read
Mhm.
together. And like it's now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, how dare she ban sci-fi? We used to read Animorphs together. Like that was like our thing because it was a book that like we, it's kind of in the middle, something I could enjoy as a youngin and something she didn't mind reading as a adult. And we literally used to pass the book back and forth, like I read a chapter, she read a
Cute.
chapter type thing. It was great. But yeah, you had me reading Animorphs. But vampires, these are children turning into animals. And they're like, there was always danger. I don't know. I don't understand why.
Look, I wasn't even allowed to read Harry Potter, so I can't relate to, I just
I never heard about her.
yeah, I was being my whole 5th grade year, they did a Harry Potter theme for my 5th
I had
grade.
to beg to read Harry Potter though, because again, my head was in the clouds.
Nobody cared about my tears. My whole 5th grade year was about Harry Potter. Like our orientation, they did sorting hats. Every book we read for like literature for the whole year was Harry Potter. Our math question was about to find the Quidditch. Like, and I would have to be removed from the room when they would and go sit outside. They had a desk outside for me where I was reading Humpty Dumpty. I don't know. I can't remember the books. And nobody cared about my little tears when I was like, I'm being separated from the class. It was like, we
Girl,
don't want none of that witchcraft.
I listen, now on some level I do still understand that life very much. Thankfully it
I
didn't
know.
extend to those types of things, but we had stuff like, oh, they're having a Halloween parade and we're not allowed to participate. Just but also to the other adults, like just let us sit out. Like we're fine. Like we were like, we're not allowed to participate. And she was like, you sure you don't want to just put on a headband, put on a costume, get a parade? Look, you're trying to get me beat and sent to hell. Okay? Let me sit down. Leave us out of this.
Me and my mom had a discussion over the weekend about this. It was not as funny as it feels now. And I was just like talking about different things from my childhood. She was like, but I'm different now. I'm like, okay, well,
Don't
so
you love that?
me, I'm still carrying all the effects of that. But I hear you. I recognize that and I hear you. I love you very much. Thank you so much for all the great and wonderful things you did right.
Mm,
Oh, yeah, it was
when they get redeemed and delivered from all that foolishness as they get older, but like no,
ain't nothing worse than your
sanctified
parents.
raised me.
Ain't nothing worse than your parents finding religion in your childhood. Like, wait till I'm grown. Like, wait till I leave. But when they find it when you are like 8,
mm, mm.
because people just get
That dive
zealous.
hard.
They get zealous for those first couple of
Yes,
years.
yes.
And you just be like, I don't know why I can't enjoy things now, but that's
Oh
apparently
God. No, that's like I saw a meme today that was like, how strict were your parents? And it was like, if I had fun today, I can't have fun tomorrow. That was the type of shit. I had like a 2 hour window. No matter which I was doing, you got 2 hours.
I remember one time I was so excited for I can't remember what it was like either my birthday or Christmas or something. And they had this like big thing as one of the presents. And I was so excited. Oh my gosh, what's that big thing? I think I wanted like a karaoke machine. Because there was a time when that was the thing. You would have those karaoke machines where the words came on in the middles
Mm,
all the way. And I was so excited because that's how it was like set up. I was like, oh, that's a karaoke machine. That's a karaoke machine. Somebody had put together a Bible like gift
mhm,
basket tower for him. It was like 8
mhm.
different Bibles. And I was just like,
A Bible. Wait, so it was so it was a tower of Bibles?
yeah, it was just like the
It's the
pink
same
girl's
book.
Bible, the teens Bible, the children's Bible,
Oh, a
the
bunch of study
Bible
Bibles.
guide studier. And I was just like, y'all are not good representation for him. I
Ah,
would like to talk to customer service of Christianity. I have
oh,
complaints.
that's hilarious.
Yeah. Now I did actually end up getting the thing as well, but when I first saw that, I was like, what are we
Like, what
doing?
is this? Oh my goodness. And oh my gosh.
Bibles.
How so I'm just thinking the challenge of a child to have to be like, "Oh, thanks.
No,
Praise
I think I just shut down. I think I just
the
kind of like dropped. I think I just dropped to the floor and stopped responding to people.
Okay, because I would have been putting on a show. I'd be like, "Ah."
If you're wondering where the avoided attachment style came from, that damn Tower Bible. That's where it came from.
I would have been struggling through my tears to be like,
I
"Oh, thank you.
think I just shut down and stopped
Is
talking
there
about
anything else? Tell
I'm
me."
pretty sure for the rest of the night, I was just like,
Oh my
does she
gosh.
want cake?
Cause what?
Yeah, she'll come around.
That is so funny. They really did that.
They really did that. They did a lot of
Someone
things.
was like, she's gonna love this.
And it's so funny because I love
I,
both of
I,
them. I love both
it's
of
the
them
fact that it was a
tremendously.
tower.
Yeah, it was some stuff. It
Mhm.
was some stuff. But it's funny to me because, like, I love them both tremendously now. I love talking to them. They're both cracking me up. They're both amazing, amazing human beings and stuff now. But I'm just like, these aren't y'all. Yeah, this version of y'all didn't raise me. I just want y'all to know. This is
Mhm.
it's great that
Mhm.
my daughter gets this version.
Yeah. Yeah. Y'all are new people to me. I'm sure my sister can read whatever she'd like.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, but anywho, whatever. So tell me about a book that like changed your perspective.
Yeah, there's been a couple. So most recently, so I really just been doing astrology books lately.
Mhm.
Like that's really all I've been reading for the last 2 years. But there is this book called Hades Moon by Judy Hall. It's an astrology book, but it's a really good one. Like it's not just this placement here and the sun here, blah blah. Like it's good. There's other stuff in it.
Okay.
But also she's a therapist, or she
Mhm.
used to be. She passed away during the pandemic, but she's also a therapist, so she also like incorporates the two. And there's
Mhm.
another author that's like that, Liz Green, who she's an astrologist, and I think she's a therapist.
Mhm.
Yeah, a lot of her stuff, therapy and astrology intermingle. But anyways, the Hades Moon book really in like changed my life because it talked about a lot of things. So there's a thing called Hades Moon, which is basically like if you have a Pluto aspect to your moon, it changes the way your moon works. So let's say you have like I promise I'm gonna make this short, y'all. Let's say you have like a Pisces moon. It's supposed to be like, oh, intuition and earth, like fairy magic godmother kind of
Mhm.
flowy Janine type feel. But if you have an aspect to Pluto, it changes that. Stuff gets dark real quick. And that's called a Hades moon. But then also, if you have your moon as Scorpio, it's considered a Hades moon. I have both. I have my Pluto conjunct my moon, and my moon is in Scorpio. And so I have a doubles Hades moon. And so for me, I really like it because it went into the psychological factors that are involved, and she was able to break down the parts using real life, like celebrities to have it. So like
Mhm.
John Lennon had what they called Hades Moon, and she broke down his relationship with like his mother, his relationship with like women, and like was able to like use these different things that we know about his life
Mhm.
and show you how the aspect shows that. Anyways, fascinating me. But for me, it was really good because I'm in a stage right now where I'm really into self-discovery. So I
Mhm.
like books that make me look deeper at myself. I'm really into books right now that make me look deeper at my stuff, especially to my stuff I really don't like to touch on.
Mhm.
And kind of help me kind of connect the dots. I think that especially as a therapist, I spend a lot of time in other people's heads.
Mhm.
I spend a lot of times analyzing and trying to connect things, patterns that sometimes at the end of the day, I don't got enough time or energy to form my own patterns about myself. And I still want to. I still want to do that work. I still catch myself, being triggered. I still catch myself going into old habits. And it's really hard. Matter of fact, there was a meme I posted the other day that it was like a video, and on top of it was like point of view, my clients asking me if being a therapist helps me in my own life. And it's just
Mhm.
a video of a girl going, no, 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 no,
No.
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 And like that's how I kind of felt about it. And so I like making sure, like that's for me sometimes a part of my self-care and my self-help is looking at my own self, making sure I'm giving myself that same love and I'm giving myself that same time to work on my Shit too.
Hmm.
What about you?
Um, so when I think every book can change your perspective, but like, but no, I know for me, it's probably the first time I read a for real self-help book because I had never, I thought they were like dumb
Same.
and cheesy and just all types of things. And then I probably read one of the cheesiest that I would think now. I read, what is it? The one, oh, You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero. Yeah, I think that's her name. But anyway, I read that book and it was very freaking helpful. And it really was like, wow. I don't know why. I don't think it said anything profound that that I probably didn't know. I think it also just came at the right time in my life because that was like after I had gotten my first reading and she was like, yeah, you're like depressed and shit and like you should probably, you need to read some books so you can
Mm.
get yourself going is what she was saying to like kind of create some momentum. And she suggested that I read autobiographies of like people who were like successful or that I looked up to or whatever. And I didn't do none of that. I came across this book. And I read that one. And I was like, wow, this I don't know. It definitely unlocked some thoughts of like, oh, I could try things. I could do I don't know. I don't know why it was so impactful. It just was like
Yeah.
it just opened up some stuff. But then after a while you read a couple more self-help books and they're all kind of saying the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
At some point they do kind of all say the same thing. But that one was definitely it was very helpful because it unlocks some stuff.
Yeah. Like you, I have always been so like self-help books because it
Hmm.
feels a lot of them to me feel preachy and feel really unrealistic.
Hmm.
I especially hate the ones that are just like you just stop being negative, just stop. And then that's all the advice they give you. They're like, or the title would be like, How to Stop Being Negative in 10 Simple Steps. And then every single one of the steps is like you just do
Stop it.
breathe, take a warm bath with some chamomile tea. You're like, girl, this is not instructions. Like,
Hmm.
what are you talking about?
Hmm.
But yeah, I definitely think for a lot of people, there is probably one out there that will just
Yeah.
sing to you. And you're like, okay,
Hmm.
I get it. I get it. Now mine is an astrology slash one. But
Hmm.
yeah. Such and like you said, sometimes you can't even really explain it. And you're just like, I don't know, but I do know it did make a profound difference. It was the turning point for me. It's like,
Hmm.
there is some stuff I need to work on.
I, I'm also a believer in like 'cause I love fiction and I really do think we can learn from fiction as well. It's not always like regarded as that, but like man, these authors be putting some stuff in these books. I'm just I'm just saying like especially like I know more recently I've definitely well, I say recently, past few years at least, I know I have been like on this like I want to read black sci-fi authors. Like
Hmm.
it has been like this is what I'm looking for. And so one author I have just like I love her. It's N.K. Jemisin. Like
Hmm.
she's killing it. Killing it in the black sci-fi. My God. Okay. But um even in her books, like the characters learn these different lessons, and sometimes they make these very profound statements that you're like, oh shit, I gotta write that down. Like it's just really like you still get something out of these stories. It's even kind of like when people a lot of people rave about The Alchemist.
Hmm.
What's the name of the book? Yeah, The Alchemist,
Yeah.
which is fiction, right?
Hmm.
But a lot of people read that book and are like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. Like you get something out of it.
Yeah. I agree with you. I am not in a fiction area of my life right now. I was though. I definitely was. Like The Alchemist, I do love The Alchemist. I make myself read it like every 5 years.
Hmm.
I'll forget about it and then I'm like, yeah,
Hmm.
go back and get some gems from that. I'm just not in that area right now.
Hmm.
Um, but again, I'm in the astrology era. I'm not even doing anything else. I do have a couple fiction books in my Kindle that I bought because they're from authors that I know that I like. And I'm just struggling because my mind is not there. It's not ready. But like you said, I do know there have been times that I have went to fiction and it has like been really profound for me. It has been really, really like, okay, I can get something from this and something I don't even know if that's what the author intended, but
Yeah.
Now, one thing I know is that me and you have extremely different taste in books, though.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
It's so bad. It's
It
so
really
bad.
is. And it don't
We
make
keep we kept trying for a while there. It was a
mm,
good 2 year period where we're like, no, this is gonna be a thing. We're
mm.
gonna buy these books together and we're gonna
We're
read
gonna
them.
enjoy it together. It just mm-mm.
And we just kept breaking each other's heart.
Yeah, like, I remember there was a book that I just loved. I was like, "Oh my god, every woman I know needs to read this book." Rest reading, you were just like, and I was like, "What is this?"
Yeah, I was. Oh, I remember the cover. It had like pinks and reds and oranges.
It's called
And
it's Woman Mother, something, yeah.
yeah, and you were like, "Did you read it?" I was like, "The daughter is really bratty." And I'm having a hard time. You're like, "Well, because she blah blah blah." I was like, I mean, okay. No, I feel like she's a brat. I'm not connecting with her. But I guess I'll keep reading. And I think I gave up on chapter like 4. You were so heartbroken.
'Cause it was so good. Oh,
I
it was so
know.
good.
I know. But
I
I
just
think that but when it comes
nothing.
to entertainment in general,
Mhm, mhm,
me and you have completely different tastes on what's entertaining. Like even
mhm.
with music, because I feel that way with music. Sometimes I send you music and you just break my heart. And I just like, okay, stop sending Ashley music. Because even if you catch the wave, you refuse to catch it while I'm on it. You refuse to. And every now and then I would just
Not a
send you
refusal.
music from my heart. And I'm like, Ashley, this album is so good. And it was, even when it's people, and matter of fact, there was a period in time where I was like, she's doing this to get back at me about the books. Because sometimes it was artists we both agreed we like, and it was something new
Mhm.
they were dropping, and I'm like, it's so good. And you're like, I think they peaked already. It was mid. It was real mid. I'm like, but we both agreed they're the greatest. Like, what is happening?
Okay.
Beyonce's last album is the only thing I think me and you agree on.
Probably, yeah.
Renaissance is like the only thing I think musically yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know.
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
I won't say whose taste in books is strange, but I was like
I just want to point out the last time that we did a book club, it was 2 against 1 who felt like, maybe this book isn't that amazing. And I just want to point out, I was on the side that had more than one person. So, was my
Okay.
taste.
Well, consider the person that you were sided with.
That
That's fine.
was a person you brought into my life. Okay, so
Yep. That person is no longer around. That person is a lot. The person is
I mean, yeah.
a person missed whole other concepts in that book as well. Because I remember
No,
us
true.
having a moment where we were like, hmm, hmm, we get why people of color is not the term that we all should be using. But just to put it out there, rest don't like bell hooks, y'all.
First of all, that is not what that's hold on.
Cause
Wait,
that's the
wait,
book.
wait,
We were
wait.
reading bell
Why
hooks
would
and she
you
ain't
why
like
would
it.
you say it like that? Why would you do that to me?
Cause I want people
That sounds like that felt really snaky. That felt real snaky. That felt like some hater. That felt like hater energy.
I'm just saying, why
First
you
of
trying
all,
to oh,
it's
we agreed. Y'all agreed against bell hooks. Okay. I'm just
I did not agree against bell hooks. I just was not that interested in her views on love on all areas. I just felt like, hey, some of this just it's not aligned with me. I did a whole poster on her for school. Put y'all pitchforks down. I made that little 5-year-old get up and recite all about bell hooks in a room full of white people. We tried. We tried to get through that book, okay? We tried very hard to get through that book.
Oh my gosh. Yes, every word, didn't have to be gospel, but I thought it was good. And it did have a great perspective and opened up some new neural pathways in my mind and I enjoyed it. Wanted to share it.
I
Well, no, that wasn't even it. I wanted to reread it and was just living my life and y'all wanted to read with me.
you know what? Okay. All I'm saying no. She's a great author. I just but this is a thing for me. Like anytime anybody, like people who are victims assault, especially
Mhm.
sexual assault, I am not an advocate for forcing them to tell their story or forcing them when they're not ready. So when she went through that whole section, that's where she lost me. Because she did a whole section about how she
Mhm.
told this other woman's story to someone for the woman and was like, and this was a bonding experience between me and that other person for me to tell this other woman's story. And I didn't agree with that. And it was hard for me to follow back up. And then it was hard for me to release that tone, that particular chapter when I was
Mhm.
reading other things. And I felt like everything was coming off very self righteous and very, look how amazing I am with all my honor. And I was like, I don't know if that's honor. So she's a great person.
I I thought it was great. But I mean, I feel you. We, everything that the acclaimed greats have written is
Oh,
not,
yeah.
like I'm reading Octavia Butler, who is like black sci-fi, like, oh my gosh, classics, whoop whoop. And the first book I read by her, I was so disgusted and disappointed, honestly. And I was in a book club that was upset with me because I was like, I just don't understand why we got to keep reading about slavery, and they was not happy. Okay. So it was a whole conversation. I was like, I'm just saying we gonna write a book about time travel.
This goes back to where me and you align because me and you are always getting in trouble for going into rooms with other black people. Like, why do we gotta keep going back to slavery? Like, I just there's other things. Could we not go back and say Malcolm? Like, what are we doing? Like,
It made me entertained. I was like, we were reading for, I don't know. But now I'm reading Parable of this Hour, and I'm like, okay, I get it. Now I understand this is the Octavia Butler. I get this is what y'all are talking about. But when I read, what was that damn Kindred, I was like, I don't get it. And people were like, oh my gosh, she's the greatest. Have you read some Octavia Butler? I did, and I didn't know. And I but I get it now. And I'm just tell you, we are headed. I'm scared reading this book. Okay.
why, why are we scared?
Because let me see. In the ongoing contest over which dystopian classic is most applicable to our time, Parable is unmatched. This is the book that feels the most like where the fuck we are headed. And it is Drabe.
Yeah, I mean,
It is scary.
yeah, no.
We just talked
Yeah,
earlier. It's like the types of problems they have in here is because shit is too fucking expensive. Okay? That's one of the issues. They can't even fucking afford food. And I just told you I went to the grocery store earlier. I didn't get enough for the whole week. I forgot some shit. It was $62. Okay.
girl, I
Where
went
we're
to
headed.
grocery stop. I went to the grocery store twice last week. Once was $60, and then I was like, I don't even got enough to make one meal. And like I had this like realization, like we got lots of fruits. We about to lose weight over here because and then I went back again, thinking I'm just getting snacks for my daughter. So I'm like, oh, I just, we're gonna get some snacks. It was like $80. And I was also like, we don't have enough food.
Mm-hmm.
What is happening here? Yeah, stuff is expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I will say one of the ones I do like, I like Richard Wright. I like a lot of Richard Wright books. When I was younger, I read a lot of Richard Wright books. The author of Black Boy, the author, not Invisible Man, that is Ralph Ellison. I also like Invisible Man. That was a really good Native Son. Richard Wright also did Native Son. And I definitely, and that's probably where I need to go back to. I know when I was younger, I really did appreciate going back to like the Harlem Renaissance writers,
Mm-hmm.
those type of classics. I was lucky enough that I did go to a school. I went to school in Oberlin. Um, Oberlin is a very liberal area. I'm always surprised when I go to other places in the country and they really know about Oberlin. And they were really good at making sure that when they said, oh, in high school, you guys got to read the classics, that included everybody's classics.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So like I've never read Great Gatsby. I think as an adult I tried to and I didn't really find it that interesting. Gave
Mm-hmm.
up. It's like, all right. Same thing with Catcher in a Rye. Like
I never got to read.
they yeah, I never read it. Apparently every white child in America has. I did not. I went to a school that they made us read books by Black authors, Latino authors, Asian authors. There was a
Mm-hmm.
book we had to read by a someone that was an Eskimo. I can't remember what the book was about, but I remember my teacher making a big deal about it because
Mm-hmm.
they were like, "We tried." We was like, "How can we diversify it more?" Eskimos. And we was like, "All right." Y'all
Not
seem
F
really
bomb.
excited about this. I can't remember what the book was called. It was something that had to do with sleigh dogs. But
Mm.
I really appreciate that because, like, I felt like when I was going off to school and I was talking to other people, like when I was 19 and stuff in college, and I was like, "Oh yeah, Richard Wright and Ralph Ellison," and they were looking at me like, "What?"
Mhm. Mm.
Like when I was like, "Beloved" was a book first, and they're like, "What?" I had no idea. So I'm really glad I did have that experience that, like, when I was in high school, I did go to school that was like the classics includes everybody's classics.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
got to read some really dope, amazing books because of that.
It almost makes me sad hearing you say that thinking about these damn book bannings
I
that are
know.
happening. Man, it sounds like something was like I think about when I read Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry. I
Mhm.
was in like fourth grade. And that's the type of book that they would be banning in some of these places. And that book was profound. Like it I
I was like thinking about that and I was just like, dang, how many kids are about to grow up with some knowledge that, we gonna sound like the crazy aunties when we tell them about because it just really was not a part of their lifetime. They banned it out and it sounds like a conspiracy theory. Like I'd be damned if my great grandchild comes to me and was like, "Well, because I know our people were
oh,
indentured
oh, oh,
workers."
oh, child.
Go get the switch real quick.
But this is why learning at home is so important because, like you said, your parents had you reading certain stuff. Thankfully your school was well rounded. But I know my mom especially like learning at home was very important. And
Mhm,
her being in the military and us moving around, I was never behind
mhm.
because I was always up on reading their stuff. She had me reading that I didn't see again until I was in college. But I'm glad to have taken that time. So like I say that to say, not my damn kids.
Yeah,
We gonna be
right.
reading. We're gonna be educated in this household because that's not. I just can't believe it. But yeah, that's these laws and this crap that's happening is why we none of us can solely depend on our education systems to teach our children,
Oh,
and
no.
we should not be.
Oh, no. If I had more patience, I would definitely teach my child at home. Like, I would definitely educate them in the home. It's not gonna be good for either of our mental health if I tried to do that now. I'm very aware of it. Whenever I try to help her with homework, I'm like, "How much is tutoring?" Like, I'm always very aware.
Mhm.
'Cause even in the 1st grade, they got them doing stuff that we did not do in the 1st grade. Lord,
Mhm.
I don't know
Good
why
teacher.
they changed math, but anyways,
Yeah, it's so annoying, and they keep trying to tell us it's better, and it just ain't. I
it's
don't care what you say.
I really feel like they're trying to dumb our kids down. Some of the things that I'm just like, This you're never gonna need this. You're literally never going to need this. Why? Why?" I really feel like it's just about teaching them to follow rules no matter how stupid they are. But that's
No,
another subject.
it's teaching them a different way so that they conceptualize it in it. These children are confused. Okay, I have been in an elementary school. I went to do for a whole year, and I'm like, and I don't. My goodness,
Look, the adults are confused.
they don't
The
understand these
adults
numbers
are
no more or less.
confused.
They're over
I
drawing graphs and shit. They don't know what's going on.
I graduated with my master's with a 3.9 and 4th grade math terrifies me. So like something else is happening.
Hmm.
Something else is happening. But yes, I agree with you. It is a big part of why learning has to be at home. And it sucks because I was talking with somebody that was putting their child in private school. And one of the things they were talking about, they were like doing interviews at different private schools. They got an interview to pay these people like $20,000 a year. But
Child.
at these different private schools and like they were like really excited about this one school and they're like, oh, because the school is very big on caring to your child's creativity. And it's like they were like, yeah, like your child can come to school whatever hair color they want because that's your child's creativity. And they do an assessment to figure out the way your child learns. And they have like 6 different like I guess they call them like pods or groups
Hmm.
for like how children learn because I guess there's like 6 prototypes. So if your child is more of a hands-on, they go to the classroom where they teach the stuff in a hands-on way. If your child is more of a person that's a visual learner, then they go to the classroom when they
It could all
And I
be
was
so
like, "That's amazing." It sucks that you need access to money for your child to have that. Otherwise, your
yeah.
child just has to hopefully struggle through until they get to college and then maybe find a schools in slash
Mhm.
major that will allow them to, use their brain the way that it naturally works for them and blah, 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 blah,
Mhm.
blah. But as they were telling me this, I was like amazed. Like, yes, that's how learning should be.
Mhm.
I'm a fish. Don't ask me to climb a tree. Put me in the lake.
Mhm. Mhm. That's so dude. Oh man, I'm looking at that sounds really cool. It sounds like a great learning experience. But no, our schools are made for factory workers. It's made to
Yeah.
create factory. But and I think about and I don't think anything solidifies it more than like coming across people online talking about like having grown up being homeschooled and then trying to like enter into the workforce and how challenging it was to them to like adjust to like schedules and deadlines and like certain things that
Yeah.
we are kind of conditioned
Yeah.
with from going through public school, just
Mhm.
like brainwashing us all. But anywho,
There was a podcast, and I know we're gonna get back to the subject, but there was a podcast that I listened to that kind of touched on that a little bit.
mm,
It was a whole episode about something completely different, but they did have one part where they were talking about how, like, why is it that the student that's an A plus 4.0 is never the company or the CEO of the company? They're usually always the middle manager. And they're like, why is that? And I was like, because they teach them how to manage, they teach them how to make deadlines, they don't teach them how to own a business and gain profit. They teach them how to make money for other people because that's how our school and our education system teaches us. The people,
mhm,
while we're saying nepotism and blah, 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 what it really is access to money. And when you have access to money, you have access to learning in different ways. You got access to learning that you can have someone do that for you.
mhm, mhm,
You learn how to get people to do stuff for you. You're brought up in a completely different way, and your way of learning is completely different.
yeah.
So, going back to well, yeah, I guess finishing up with book bang, let me ask, are you a fan of books getting turned into movies? Or do you just absolutely hate it?
Oh my goodness. Oh, I don't want to. Hmm. That's really hard for me. I'm not a fan of it. No,
Mhm.
I wouldn't. I'd be lying if I said I was a fan per se because it just so many times it's not done well. But I'm a fan of good stories, and I think
Mhm.
any way that we can share a good story, I guess we should. I can be a little snobby when it comes to reading books because I'm like audio is not reading, and I will stand
I
firm
won't
on that. I
lie,
don't
I
care
am
what
like
nobody
that.
says.
I am like
Yeah,
that. And it's not because of y'all. Y'all get into learning. It's fine. It's essentially podcasts. Like audiobooks
I
is just
mean,
podcasting to me.
yeah, and there's
We
nothing
do
wrong with
have
it.
somewhat of a script. We just never follow it. But like it's just podcasting to me. But I think I'm a hater though, because I'm easily distracted. I can't do audiobooks because I'll start doing something else while I'm doing it. And then I won't pay attention. And I'll
But
zoom
I
back
mean,
in like, wait, we're on
m-
what?
most people who are doing audiobooks are doing other things. That's my point. It's like it's different because in order to read a book, you have to actually sit down, open it, and look at it and read it. You have to set aside time for it. You listening to something while you wash the dishes or you walk or you do all these other things, it's just not the same. That's all. Let's just
Um,
be real about that.
I'm not hating on it. Get the knowledge how you can. I
Get it
just
how you
can't.
get it.
I just can't do it.
Don't
I'll
because
be too distracted.
I got a friend who keep listening to stuff and then trying to recommend it to me. You didn't read this. He's like, it's the same, isn't it? If I remember the story. I was like, and then he sent me one of these books that he so called read,
Mhm.
something that you listen to while you at work. And then the book was like 1,000 pages. I was like, who is reading
Y'all,
this?
we really need to be a full-on visual audio. I mean podcast, because I want y'all to see the anger at Ashley's face.
Because it
Ashley is
bothered
turning
me so
red. Ashley is turning red talking about this. She's big mad.
it upset me. So I was like, who's reading all this? And he's like, oh, I didn't realize it was that many pages. Of course you didn't. Because you did not take the time to sit and read it. You passively listened while you were doing something else. You're not allowed to recommend things to me unless you actually sat down and read them. That's it. That's it. That's all I gotta say about it. But anywho, what were we talking about? Oh yeah. But again, I'm down for people getting a good story, however it is that you need to get it. So back to books being
So
turned into
yeah.
shows. I'm pro I'm not pro it unless it's gonna be done, well with the author's involvement, not and it's gonna be true to the story. Like I'm really big on that. Like I
Yeah.
am one of those people who will be upset and have so much garbage to talk if something doesn't follow. Like I didn't watch Game of Thrones because I had read all the books.
Mm.
And the first season is true to the book, period, hands down. The second season, they start veering off, and I was done after that. I was like, this is just childish at this point. I didn't like it.
Yeah. See, luckily for me, I have bad memory, so, like, I don't be remembering little stuff. I'm not the person that's gonna be like, "It was a pink slipper, not almond red." Like, I'm never gonna be that person. I just don't remember
Mm,
well enough. But just most of the books I've read, I really, really enjoy have not been turned into movies, so, like, I haven't had that thing. Now
mhm,
they're turning Wicked, which I actually read the book. Like, I
mhm,
never saw the play. I just found out the play was here recently. Every time the play comes to town, like, I miss it. But also, I
mhm.
don't like music in my movies. I'm not a fan.
You don't like musicals?
I don't like musicals. Like, I want you know how hard it was for me in the early 2000s to watch Tyler Perry's? Remember he used to do traveling plays, and I would be the only person like, "Can we skip forward to Scannion?" Like, I I wanted to get the story. I did not want to hear the singing. I don't know why. I don't like singing.
Mm, I love musicals.
Yeah, I don't want y'all to sing through your feelings at all. I still remember from a Tyler Perry show, play that he did because he was huge. Oh my gosh. When he was doing the plays, like,
Mhm.
everybody was, like, getting a copy and you pass it along, and I still have grained into my brain because my mom and them would not let me skip. There's a song from one of his plays called "Sometimes I Feel Like a Motherless Child," and I will be washing the dishes
Sometimes
randomly 20 years later.
yeah.
Yes, that one, and that song will pop into my head, and I get mad. I get
Mm,
so mad, like, "Why do you make me?" But anyways, Wicked
yeah.
is one that I did read and I did like. And I really like the concept of that author because he did a couple other ones. He had one like Cinderella like that, which it was like an adult version of the Cinderella story. 'Cause,
Mhm,
Wicked is like adult version of
mhm,
Wizard of Oz. Like, no, this is the
mhm,
story. This is what's really happening.
mhm.
And I haven't read the book in a long time. Like, I've forgotten certain parts, but now the movie is coming out, and I was already pissed off when I heard saw the casting. Like, I was
Oh.
already pissed off when I saw the casting.
Hmm,
I was like,
okay.
I don't even wanna
Mhm,
watch this. So now I'm like, maybe this is what Ashley know be talking about
mhm,
because I
mhm,
usually don't. It's usually not a book I care enough about that when it comes out with something, I'm like, but now like Wicked was something I actually really did like, and
mhm.
I saw the
I'm
cast and I'm completely angry. And now I'm seeing all the drama in the news with Ariana Grande, and I was like, see, and you gonna take away attention from this amazing story. Y'all shouldn't have casted her in the first place. Should have been Meg and Hercules. Y'all should have left it at that. Like yeah. So I think probably not. I probably won't be a
Hmm.
fan when it starts
Mhm.
happening to the things that I love.
It can be very difficult.
Mhm.
Yeah, but I also got it from my stepmom. She was a huge Stephen King fan.
Mhm.
And so of course we watched the movie, but that was like a thing for her to be able to be like, wait a minute. She go get her book. That did not happen. See, this is the ending of the book. But I'm gonna say, yeah, like I've never watched the Harry Potter movies.
Mm,
Um, I read the books up until like book 4. Once the later ones came out, like because I was of age as they were coming out. So
mhm,
I was reading them then. So there was like a gap. And then I got a little older and didn't care anymore. But once the movie and stuff came out, nothing looked like how I thought it was gonna look. And I was like, I felt like it was gonna just ruin
mhm.
my version of it. And so I was like, I don't care. Y'all got it. And I just didn't watch it.
Yeah,
Um I'm
I
trying to
just
think if there's one that's ever like for real pissed me off.
but you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, I think that's why I don't see any of the remakes of Disney movies because 'cause I'm just like, "I'm good." I really like the version I have in my head,
I wouldn't
and I
doubt that.
just why bring it to life for what? For what? Either great in the 80s with this. This is a great 90s classic. Why are we retouching this? No, I'm good. I refuse to see any of the yeah, I refuse to see any of the I supported Little Black Mermaid because, you know, the pro Black Daddy. Um, so I bought the ticket and went to go watch something else. But like I refuse. I refuse. My daughter didn't care enough, like, cause she's only 6, so it was a cartoon, she didn't care. It was like,
Mhm.
no. Took her to go see something. I think we went to go see what did we went to, I don't know. We went to go see something else. But I just yeah, yeah. So you know what? No, I know for a fact, yeah, I would not like it. I would not like it. If it was something I cared about, I wouldn't like it. I have had the opposite effect though, because like I have watched movies first and then realized it was a book. Or
Mhm.
like when it came out, I was just too young. So then I
Yeah.
got older, I read the book and I was just like, that's not what Whoopi Goldberg did.
Uh-huh. Yep. I did that with the show Dexter because the show
Mm,
Dexter is based on books, and I loved the show. No, I say I didn't read the books because I
mhm,
loved the show. I really did.
yeah.
And so I went online and I was like, I want to see what the differences are before I read the
Mhm,
books. And the concept in the book is totally, 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 totally
mm,
like in the on the show, like he's aware of what he's doing, he's blah 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 blah. Maybe he's a little disconnected, like a bit of a sociopath, but
mhm.
whatever. In
A
the book,
good-hearted sociopath.
something like that. But
Sociopath with a heart of gold. Mhm.
in the books, he's possessed by something,
Oh, that's
and
different.
that's a
That doesn't
complete.
even sound like the same genre.
It's a complete right. That's a completely different take.
Hmm.
Yeah, and then his sister knows about it the whole time too, because I like literally like somebody made a chart what the major
Mm.
differences was, and I went through it and I was like, ah, nah, I wouldn't like that. I'm gonna just stick with the version I know. I'm good.
Yeah.
So yeah, but hmm, yeah, I'm sure somebody's done it right. I can't think of any examples off the top of my head of one that I was like, yeah, they nailed this.
Oh, well, but so this is a difference because the person who was in charge of also bringing it to life is the person who wrote it, but Sandman,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
the Sandman comics. So I was into comics books for a little bit, not like heavy, not like deep. But I was into comics for a little bit. There was a comic book that was like it was about like adult versions of like fairy tales. So
Mm-hmm.
like the big bad wolf is a detective on the police force. Cinderella is the mayor.
Mm-hmm.
Like yeah, Fables. It's called Fables. So I liked
Uh-uh.
Fables, but I also like Sandman. I liked the writer Neil Gaiman. I think it's Neil Gaiman. He also did American Gods.
Mm-hmm. I
He
do want to
also
read that.
yeah, and so and I really like the first season. The second anything after the first season of the actual show, I was like, ah, okay, what are we doing here?
I like the
Um,
concept of the show, and so that's what made
I
me want to read
love
the
the
books.
concept. And that's
Mhm.
he does super dope concepts. It's why I like Sandman when it came. But I feel like they did a good job at Sandman. Some of the reviews I read, people were just like, oh, it had a cheesy feel, blah, blah, blah. It had an 80s feel because the comic was set in the 80s. So they had some things to it that had some like 80s feels to it. Because the 80s was cheesy. But I really, really liked when they brought that to Netflix. In fact, like, even though I disconnected my Netflix, I have very much always been like, y'all re-up on Sandman.
Mhm.
I'm resubscribing to watch
Mhm.
that. But also, they have the writer involved, and he's very
Mhm.
hands-on creatively. So I think those are the cases where it works out.
Yeah. Yeah. As long as they're heavily involved and they don't get deterred by the fans
Mm,
partway through, which happens to certain series. But
that's the
anywho.
whole thing.
So today, or was that today or yesterday? I saw like a meme of someone saying, like, I'm on my way to tell you that if you don't like a book, you don't have to finish it. Have you ever been one of those people who was like, I must finish this book? I started it and therefore I must
No,
finish it.
never, never in my life.
I
Never
used
in
to
my
hold
life have I felt the need to finish anything.
I
The
literally
minute I
I
feel
used
done with something, I'm like, that's enough. Well,
girl, I used to hold myself hostage. Like I started it and I must finish it. And then I read a book that I hated so much all the way to the end. And that was the one that broke me. I was like, I will never again do this to myself because I was
not it broke me.
disgusted. I was disgusted with that book.
It broke you.
It pissed me off from A
Mm,
to Z. Okay, it's a book about this white passing man. He was he's biracial, he's white passing, but his dad was real black power, like really, really black power, and just didn't seem to notice that his son didn't really, that his son was like getting
mhm,
his ass kicked in the hood for being the
mhm,
lightest thing out there. But also, what pissed me off about the book was this: it's a autobiography,
mhm.
is the fact that his problems was all because he was lying. All this angst that you felt was from you lying. All of these issues, and then by the end, because it was just like
Can I just briefly interject
lying.
for our listeners?
Mhm.
For a lot of that seems to be a problem. Okay, keep going.
Right.
I'll
It
just stop
was
lying.
from A
I
to Z.
think
I
our
was just
problems
like,
would go away.
he was lying, telling people he was Jewish, and then being like, you're always around people and you're worried that they're gonna find out and they'll be racist towards you. But also, like, okay, this book does not take. This man is not. He's not old, is what I'm saying. Like, this isn't some shit where you had to pass for
This was in
survival.
the 1940s.
No, no, it wasn't.
He was doing this in 2002.
This was right. So, sir, I just don't have no. Maybe a little earlier than that. Maybe a little earlier than that. But it wasn't. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And so the end results of the book, what pissed me when he finally steps into taking on his blackness and being like, all right, I accept this part of me. Like, he literally ends it talking about fucking white women to get back at them with his
You know why? Because that was a whole thing. No, no, no. That's a whole thing from like my daddy's and them generation. Because I had a sit down one time with my uncles. They had been smoking, so they was just talking. And they all had this conversation like, yeah, because it's a thing. That's why the youngest, because they want to get back. And, da, 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 da. And I was like,
what is that? That doesn't
I
make
was very confused. I was a very, very confused.
disgusted. But I
But
was
they
like, I
all swore up
suffered
and
through
down
this.
that was a thing in their day.
So maybe from that time, because I was disgusted about it. I was like, so I suffered through this, and this man didn't grow. He didn't evolve. He sounds like a terrible person. I
It
was so
sounds realistic. Honestly, I don't know if you've talked to men, but they'll starting off in some BS, struggling because of their own lies, and then at the very end, not growing. I have seen that story.
now, I hated that book so much, I was able to use it as a great case study from one of my social work classes. I was like, I don't need to reread nothing. I know exactly which stupid book, stupid freaking person I'm gonna use. That's exactly
Mm,
what I did. Anywho, now on the flip side, Trevor Noah, for someone who's biracial, as well as like even Obama's, and I say this because this was like, well, not those particular books, but
mm,
it's a thing to read books by biracial people getting to tell their stories of what this
mhm,
experience is like for them.
mhm.
And neither of them are going around crying and bitching about everything because neither of them were lying about their existence. Okay. Obama's book, he's very much like, yep, I grew up biracial, came with these sorts of challenges, and I just kept on going. You know, now I'm president, whatever the hell his book was. Trevor Noah's was like, hey, this is what it was like growing up in apartheid. Wasn't right, you
Mhm.
know? Dodge some stuff, shit here and there, but not. And I'm gonna get back at the white man. You're the one was lying to the white man. Anyway,
Me.
but do you have like a book fail, like one that you're like, I hated it, burn it, bad reviews?
I know I have. I'm trying to think what it is, but I know I have. There's definitely been books that have made me bad. I've definitely thrown away books. So
Not threw it away.
I have thrown away books. I have had books that I'm like, this is why they burn books. I understand the church now.
Probably
They were
burning books
just
is kind of emo.
triggered.
I don't know. Let's
We might need to give them more compassion. They were triggered. There's some unhealedness in them. Um, I have. I just let me. You got to give me a minute to think, because I know for a fact I've definitely thrown away books. While I'm thinking, what about you? What is your like
I told you.
disgusted?
Like I
Hmm.
told you that. I told you about it. The book with the white passing dude.
Oh, him. Okay, yes, 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 yes. Can I say the Bible? Um, oh, you know what? Yes, 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 yes. I have. I don't remember the name of this book, but I had bought this book on accident because I was trying to buy some new like therapeutic books. And I was trying to
Mhm.
buy when I was switching over to doing therapy full time instead of doing it part time. Because I did it part time for a little bit there. And so I was like, oh, let me get some more books and let me whatever, whatever. And I had bought this book where I had bought two books actually. I went through this like just mass buying section and I was like Googling for certain keywords, certain things I wanted to concepts I needed more brushing up on and stuff like that. Two things happened. One was a book by actual therapist. I'm not gonna say the book, I'm not gonna say the name because you know, she's doing her thing and best of luck to that young woman. But then the other one ended up accidentally being like it read like a novel, but
Mhm.
that's not how they advertise it on Amazon. And I don't
Mhm.
know the name of this book. I think I still have it somewhere. But that book was it ended up being like a Christian book on diagnosing of borderline personality disorder. And it was talking about it nothing scientific. It had nothing to do with the DSM-5, which is what you use to diagnose with. Like they just had their own theories about borderline, like just the pray it away method. Yeah, and I was just like, this seems incredibly harmful.
Mhm.
And the person on it, I can't remember who it was, but the person on it, I know they had like, because that was a big thing for me is making sure it was somebody with initials behind their name. And it was
Mhm.
somebody that had the initials behind his name. I want to say an LPC. It sounds like some LPC shit. But
Mhm.
yeah, that one. And I didn't even get through like, I think I read 5 or 6 pages and was like, what? And then I
Mhm.
skimmed, and that was supposed to be like edgy,
Ooh.
borderline, but for Christ.
Mm.
It was a lot. It was a lot.
Not borderline, but for Christ.
She's borderline for Christ. And then the other one was a book. It was not meant for clinicians. It was actually like a don't do therapy. Read this book instead.
Mm.
Self-therapy, which I'm not fond of. You need somebody to call you out on your BS. You need somebody to help recognize patterns. It's why therapists have therapists because you can have the knowledge. It's something about being able to have someone that can step outside of what's going on now and look at it from an objective view. You
Mhm.
definitely need that. It's why you talking to your girlfriends for hours is not therapy, even if
Mhm.
they're a therapist.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, anyways, but it's one of those books, and it was like rehashing a whole bunch of knowledge from like the 80s, but now using terms like spirit and like energy. It was just it wasn't that it was necessarily bad. It was just that I was like, it was hyped up to be this like new revolutionary book. And it was like,
Mhm.
no, they just interchange words. Like I'm pretty sure she copied and pasted somebody else's book
Mhm.
and Word and then just used synonym to change out words. And
Mhm.
then was like, here you go, here's the information. And so I wanted all 36 of my dollars back. I was just like, this is not new information. This is not particularly helpful.
Mhm.
And she added some of her own stuff and anecdotes. And yeah, I was just like, I'm good. I'm good. I
Mhm.
really get mad at that. I don't like books that present itself as one thing and it's something else. Even if the something else is great, that's not what I thought I was
Yeah.
getting. I want
Yeah.
to get what you advertise this to be.
Right. Don't try to sneak stuff up on you.
Yeah. Yeah. I really hate when people repackage stuff and be like, it's new. Look at this new thing we're learning about here. You're like, girl, the Harlem Shake was something our parents was doing in the 60s. It's technically the jitterbug. Like, just, I don't like it. I don't like it.
Mhm.
And that was random, y'all. Don't Google the jitterbug and then hit us up like, Christ, that is two different dances. Y'all, I don't know. But anyways, guys, that is all we have for today. We hope you guys enjoy. We'll have a new episode for you guys next Sunday. You can follow us on Instagram at She-Wolf Alchemy. You can follow us on TikTok at She-Wolf Alchemy. Or you can hit up our website at www.shewolfalchemy.com. We'll have a new episode for you guys next Sunday. Bye.
Bye.